Good morning, everybody. We've got
everyone.
three guests today, which is super fun. Three kitchens joining you.
It's a party.
I know. I can. Does that change the view for you guys? Like, can you see just me big now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
right.
big and we're small on the side.
All right.
Are you gonna help me peel the egg?
And there's us three by a side. I like that one. We'll use this for now, and then we'll kind of zoom in on different folks as we go along. So we've got a couple people joining us so far. If you're just joining us, we're going to be making pickled eggs today. The eggs that I had in my fridge are brown eggs, and so they're not going to dye very well for dyed Easter eggs. I also don't have any dye that you get at the store typically, so we're going to be we thought we would try something that Will talked about. That's something that he's always done for Easter, which are pickled eggs. So while we're waiting for folks to arrive, Will, maybe you can just share a little bit about how you've pickled eggs before.
Yeah, so my mom is from central Pennsylvania, so there are certain foods in my family tradition that have a little bit of like Pennsylvania Dutch in them, and I presume that this is something that she grew up with. I know it's something that she grew up with and that I would eat through her side of the family. So I call them purple Pennsylvania pickled eggs. And they're
one more time. Purple
Pennsylvania pickled eggs. And they're really simple. Today we're going to make them with a brine that we heat up, but they're as simple as as a lot, I think, central Pennsylvania cooking is, just cracking open a can of canned beets, adding them to a jar of hard-boiled eggs, and putting in a rough estimate of vinegar and water and salt, and maybe some peppercorns or mustard seeds or something like that. And then in like 2 days, you have these vibrant eggs, and they taste earthy like beets, and they're kind of weird and funky, but I always like them.
I love that. So the egg is always going to be white, even if the outside is brown. So we figured that might be a fun way to try doing pickled or to do dyed eggs. And also, not that, I mean, you can always eat dyed eggs, but I always feel like I don't want to waste the eggs that I have right now on dyeing them if they're going to get kind of like that fake dye on them.
Yeah.
This is a great way to, I think, still get that color on your table, but be able to eat them and have an interesting flavor. And you guys, Rose is here. And I'm so glad she's with her mom and grandmother for some egg pickling. And Rose is one of our wonderful, wonderful educators. So many of you know her.
Rose.
And I'm so time that you are here today on this day when all three of us are in the kitchen. So it's so good to see you virtually, Rose. I hope you're doing well. And Marin and Cora are here, and Cammie's coming. And Grandma Helene is here as well. So if you haven't gotten your eggs hard boiled, go ahead and get your eggs into a saucepan. The way I like to do that is to
do it on your own.
Water by about an inch. Bring your water to a boil, and then cover and remove from heat and let it just sit for 12 minutes. So my eggs are just boiled, and they're sitting, and they're going to be ready in about, for me, it's going to be another like 7 minutes or so we can get going on the brine. And it looks like Olivia and Amy are here, and she says hi to Rose as well, which is awesome.
Well, I have a question. Forgive me if you said this. How do you eat the eggs? Do you typically just like slice them on the platter and like serve them just on their own, or like put them with, I don't know.
I slice them in half.
I'm trying to hear Will.
I slice them in half, and the dye almost completely penetrates the egg. So the inside is like bright purple with the bright yellow yolk. And I remember them being served on like little deviled egg trays at like, family meals and picnics in Pennsylvania.
All right. So it's sort of like an appetizer almost.
Yeah, like picnic food.
Once your eggs are boiled, while they're boiling, we can go ahead and get our brine made, and we can talk about some of the combinations. We used an article that I saw in Epicurious for some of this, which is a website that we use often, epicurious.com. And then there was, I think, Food 52 website had a couple of options as well. But I'll put the banner for the brine. This is a basic brine. Is that about what you were thinking? we might do a cup of vinegar, a cup of water, 2 teaspoons of sugar, and 2 teaspoons of salt.
Yeah, I think that ratio looks really good. I might skip the sugar because I'm adding beets, and beets are naturally sweet. So I really think that like things like that are your own preference.
Yeah, I think that's right. You can, if you don't like a sweet at all in your brine, like in a pickle, then skip it, right?
Yeah.
I'm also not going to use the full. This is for about 6 eggs. So this brine will be what you need for about 6 eggs. And I'm only hard boiling 2 today because I wasn't 100% sure how well they're going to go over with all the kids and eating eggs. So I want to make sure I save some of my eggs just in case. So this will be a test and then we'll make more. Let's see.
A prized item around here as well, just because,
Oh yeah, well they're not hard boiled yet. Maxwell is one of my biggest fans of hard boiled eggs. He loves hard boiled eggs, but they're not quite ready yet, Maxwell. Okay, so I'm gonna have mine, and I guess Will, when do you end up putting the different dyes in or the natural food colorings in?
So I would just add them all to your jar before you pour the brine in. So I already hard boiled my eggs last night when I was hard boiling eggs for Passover. And then I'm just going to start to scoop out a few beets from my jar of beets and add it to the jar, and then I'll just pour the brine over the beets and the.
You're adding your beets. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our brine mix, and then I'm going to put up some banners that show different options for color. And I don't have white vinegar. I only have apple cider vinegar, so I'm kind of using that as my. I'm going to go with kind of a reddish color for my dye because I feel like the apple cider vinegar is not totally good. So I'm just going to have mine. I'm going to do a half a cup of vinegar. Oh boy, hold on 1 second. I may have a little.
oh my goodness, what happened? Oh boy.
So we have a half a cup of vinegar, a half a cup of water, about 2 teaspoons of salt, 2 teaspoons of sugar. But as Will said, you can kind of wing this a little bit. It's really to taste. It doesn't have to be exact. There's no precise measurements for this. So to go get my salt as well. And give me 1 second. Laura, you're making yours as well now, your brine?
Yes, so our eggs are ready and Margot's helping me peel them, which, as we said before, is kind of a fun task for little fingers. It's like a good fine motor skill activity for them. It, can result in some imperfectly peeled eggs, but that's all right. We have a few that made it. So I'm going to put this aside.
Mom, I'm
and
gonna paint the picture.
I'm also doing just wait a minute. I'm also going to have the brine to kind of conserve some of the ingredients I have, and also because I still have a bunch of leftover brine from our pickled carrots, so I thought I could repurpose that because it has garlic in it, mustard seeds, peppercorns, and some of the orange color from the carrot.
That'll be delicious. I added the beets to my pickle jar here, so you can already kind of see the vibrant purple juices dyeing the eggs.
One more eggs.
Okay. So I'm going to put mine back up again. I actually just put my brine on the stovetop. So you want to get your brine, really it's just cooking it until the sugar and the salt dissolves. But I have a couple of different options for the color. So meant to get through. I've been saving some onions. So I'm going to be using red onion and yellow onion. I'm going to be making like a reddish orangey color, I think. We'll see. So I'm going to add my onion skins to my pot.
Right, it's all a little experimental, as a lot of our cooking is right now.
Yeah.
Although,
I'll show you a couple of our options. So if you wanted to make your dye yellowish, you could add either fresh ginger or powdered ginger, and also some turmeric. Turmeric is a root like ginger. It's actually an underground stem or a rhizome, but it grows underground and has a bright orange flavor. You find this often in
What's that?
Turmeric. What do you use turmeric for?
It's an ingredient in curry.
Hang up your picture.
In what, Will?
In curry powder.
In curry powder.
I was also thinking if you had curry powder, if you didn't have turmeric, I think you would probably get golden eggs from curry powder as well.
I think that's right.
It'd be pretty yummy too.
For the yellow, let me just make sure I have some questions here. Marin's saying, are you adding it to the brine? And yes, I would add it to your brine. So Will, because he's using the jarred beets, is going to add that juice in a jarred beets is already very red. So he's just adding that directly to his brine with his eggs. But if you have like a whole beet, you would add it to your brine and cook it a little bit to get that coloring in it. So you're going to add your coloring to the vinegar. And then Will, we have a question about whether the beets, did you put the beets in with the eggs or just the liquid?
I put the beets right in with the eggs, so you can see some of the beets on top there. And that'll help add a lot of color other than just the juice.
Did you miss the answer to that, Will? Sorry about that.
The answer was yes. I put the beets so you can see the beets on top of the eggs.
Okay, great.
And that's going to add a lot of the color. And
so then I'm going to put up another banner for some different options to make a red color. So red cabbage would work, red onion skins, or if you have whole beets, you can put that in with your brine and get that cooked together. Orange. You can use carrots here, so you could add carrots to your brine. And you could also add, I wanted to talk a little bit about saffron. Give me 1 second here. I'm just going to take my eggs out of my liquid here. So I'm going to add my eggs to an ice bath so they're cool enough to peel.
Okay. Sit there and eat an egg.
There they go. So my eggs are cooling now. My brine is getting a little bit of color. So I wanted to talk a little bit about saffron. I did a little deep dive on saffron right before we started. I found a little saffron in my spice cabinet that I haven't used. And I'm thinking maybe paella somewhere. I have a lot of rice. So maybe. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. We have a little emergency in the other room. Hold on.
So like Jen, I've been like experimenting with the pantry and cleaning things out and trying like new recipes based on what I have. So last night, oh gosh, there we go. Last night, I attempted to make my own fish and chips with homemade French fries. I was not confident. I was like, all right, this is very experimental. We'll see. And followed a recipe that called for like flour, cornstarch, some spices to spice the batter, and then like a beer to make it more of like a bubbly tempura batter. And it was awesome. I was so pleasantly surprised.
That sounds delicious. It's like amazing the skills you learn because you're stuck inside. I made fish tacos the other night. And I bought chicken wings when I was at the grocery store the other day because I'm like, all these foods that I would normally only eat if I was out at a restaurant, I'm kind of craving. So I fried fish with cornmeal batter the other night. It was really good. And I do chicken wings this weekend. So just trying to find out how to bring those little comforts into your own home.
So sorry about that. We had a little computer argument going on in the other room. So
kids are like busting into my husband's office. So
got it. I'm glad you're here, Will, to kind of like pick up the slack as Laura and I constantly putting out fires. Not literal fires, but just these virtual ones here. So saffron. Saffron is the stigma of a flower, right? So the stigma is the female part of a flower. It's the part that pollen, when a pollinator brings pollen to a flower, it's the part that the pollen sticks to, and it travels down the tube of the stigma and then fertilizes the ovary at the bottom, and that's how you get fruits in any flower. So saffron is that tiny little, very thin stigma, and each one, each flower only has one stigma. So I'm gonna get this real close. Let's see if we can see it. Let me see if I hold up a napkin or a paper towel behind it. You can see it over there. Because it's bright red. It's this beautiful bright red color. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
So that's the stigma. And so when you harvest saffron, you're harvesting one of these from every flower, one of these tiny little stigmas, and so they're very valuable. And in fact, it's the most expensive in the world.
Wow.
We just found out that currently it's at about $5,000 a pound.
Oh my gosh.
But you don't need a lot. You just need this like tiny pinch to make a red color. So I'm going to add that since I have it. But we figured it out. This little jar here is 1 gram. And Bill reminded me that there's 28 grams in an ounce, 16 ounces in a pound, which we figured out was 448 grams. So if you divide 5,000 by 448, and here we go with math in the kitchen, this was probably about $11. I don't think this is like super high quality saffron, so it probably wasn't $11, but I bet it was like $8 for this little jar, but it goes a long way.
I can only imagine how labor intensive it must be to extract the stigma from individual flowers of a plant.
I mean, right? Exactly.
And like, who discovered that? I mean, it must
right.
It's amazing.
So many of the dyes that we use for all things, clothes, etc., are all from plants. You know, all dyes originate pretty much from plants. Okay, so some other options for color. So we talked about orange. And I'd love to hear what your ideas are too. But basically, you want to also then think about what other flavors you want to add.
So ours is going to be, I think, like a golden yellow color. We're using turmeric as well. And then I don't know if you heard, Jen, I was saying I'm going to repurpose some of our carrot brine.
I think that's brilliant.
I still have it. And that's sort of like a orange color. So I'm curious to see how the eggs come out.
So I'm gonna add a little bit of coriander to my brine. I don't have any peppercorns, but you certainly could add some garlic. You could add shallot, mustard seed, peppercorn. So really, you're making a pickle brine, and you want to add the flavors as you have them. And then the last thing after you've added your ingredients is that you're going to add your vinegar or your brine to your eggs and leave it for like 3 hours to overnight. Will, how long do you think you'll leave yours for?
I'll probably crack them open on Easter Sunday. I think I'm going to try to hold out until then, but I think they'll be ready before then, especially with the beets. And with anything like a quick pickle, it just depends on, there's no like chemical transformation that needs to happen in order for it to all of a sudden be edible. It's just a matter of the flavors getting more intense over time.
Yeah, and how whether you've achieved that color. So it might take 3 hours. It could take overnight. You could leave them for more than a couple days.
And I would imagine that similar to dyeing eggs with the shell, like the longer you leave it, the more vibrant the color will be.
Yeah.
Well, Jen just jogged my memory, and I'll ask you, and I'll ask her when she comes back.
I'm back.
Okay, what do you do with coriander? Because that's actually something I have a ton of in my pantry, and I don't really know what to do with it.
It's a really good question. So coriander seeds are cilantro seeds, which we saw a lot of on the farm this summer. And I know that Stone Acres Farm sold their coriander seeds to Gray Sail Brewery, but they have like a bright, vibrant smell and flavor like cilantro does. Mm-hmm. So the only thing that I can think of that I've used curry for often, or coriander for, is in curry. So we love to like cook down a can of coconut milk with vegetables and curry powder and ground coriander. But I bet it'd be delicious marinade on fish or beef or something like that. It's just it carries the cilantro flavor.
Yeah, I think I've also Laura, if you had any cream or milk, you could infuse coriander seed and make like a coriander cream sauce for fish or chicken. Really good.
Sounds delicious.
Sounds good. Margot,
I'm peeling my eggs, and again, we learned this in one of our earlier classes with eggs, that the older your eggs are, the easier they are to peel. And these are still pretty fresh eggs from Stone Acres. So there's a membrane that's attached to the shell when the egg is first laid. And as the egg ages, that membrane starts to pull away from the shell, which is why it gets easier and easier to peel as the egg gets older and older. So I have pretty fresh eggs that are going to take me a few seconds to peel, but I'm going to go back to my brine. Laura, what color is your brine? Is it getting...
Oh, well, I can't say that it looks super appetizing at the moment, but it's going to be a bright yellow color. I think. Okay. Judging from, having dyed eggs before, this like pink mustard color will sort of come out like a bright yellow, I think.
Well, I think I'm going to get to kind of a pinkish color. Thing. I think I'm going to get pink. Trying to keep my onion skins out of it.
Margot, what is your favorite color?
All
day long, all she wants to do is tell me her favorite colors. But
not right now.
Not right now.
Has Margot been FaceTiming or video chatting her relatives more often?
Yes, we've definitely been doing that. She likes to hold the phone, which makes it challenging. And then she takes them on a very shaky tour of the house.
Yeah, we do the same with my nephew. And occasionally we get this miracle where it's on his face the whole time. And we're like, oh, yeah. He's 2 years old and he's FaceTiming us like a pro. And then other times it's like his belly the whole time.
Right. So I got a nice pink brine.
Oh, that's
which
awesome.
I'm going to have eggs.
That happened so quickly. I thought you would put the onion skins in with the eggs and have it die over time, but that turned out perfect.
Well, I put it in with the brine and then cooked it down with the brine. And I also think the saffron helped a little bit. But they were definitely pink before I put the saffron in. So those onion skins really have a lot of color. And the yellow onion skins, my husband told me a trick that he had read, which was kind of amazing when I made chicken soup the other day, is that if you put in your onion skins with your broth, as you're cooking down, let's say you put water in to make a chicken broth or chicken stock, if you put the onion skins in, it gives the broth a nice gold color. And so it makes that beautiful color that you get from a delicious chicken soup. So those yellow skins have a lot of color as well.
Right, you don't even have to peel your onion before stock. You can just kind of have it and
right.
Put it in there.
Exactly. So I'm curious what other colors we have out there for your eggs. I can't wait to see. And so the egg is going to pick up color overnight, and also the pickled flavor, which I'm really excited to try. Laura, do you want to give a little preview for tomorrow's class? We have as an announcement to those joining, we're going to be doing classes all next week, and we're in the midst of getting updated. So all of our old classes can be found very easily on our website. If you missed it, go back to it. But we're going to do classes all next week, and then we might, after sort of unofficial spring break, we may go to a slightly altered schedule, but we'll still be here every week. And tomorrow we have a fun activity. Let's see what we have. Marin's going to have cabbage, onion skin, and turmeric. So they're going to get a nice golden color.
Oh, cool.
And Lydia and Eleanor are just watching today. They dyed them the traditional way, but they're going to try this another time. Yeah, so Lydia, if you ever want to go back to this video, we're going to get it up on our website, yellowfarmhouse.org, and you'll find all the old videos there. So if you missed any of the other days, you can go back and watch it. So I'm going to go ahead and just pick my egg in. And Will, it's fine if the brine is still warm, I imagine, right?
Yep, because the eggs are cooked, so it's okay. It's like if it were fresh cucumbers or fresh carrots you wanted to pickle, the warm, hot brine might soften the vegetables a little bit, but it's okay for the eggs. So my eggs are in their brine with their beets, and in a few days those will all be bright purple.
Okay. After you remove the eggs, you can just put them in an airtight container. I'm going to put a couple more saffron in with mine just to make sure. What is that?
I definitely want to try your version, Will, because I love beets personally, and I think the colors are fun. So I'm going to see Tom's News. Will and I both live in Stonington Borough, and Tom's is like a little mini mart in our neighborhood. I'm going to see if they have canned beets, because they might. They have
And if not, you can have the other half of my jar of beets.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I would make these in college, and I couldn't get my roommates to eat the purple pickled eggs.
Okay. All right, so tomorrow Laura's going to walk us through. It's not quite an edible craft,
It's not an edible craft, but I'm so excited about this. I was like staying up myself last night, quietly watercoloring, and it was very peaceful. And I'm really thrilled with this. So tomorrow we're doing an Easter craft. There's two parts to it. So the first, oh my gosh. So off camera, Margot is just shaking cinnamon all over herself right now. So the first part is to make watercolor paints. If you don't have any at home, which I don't, and they're actually much neater to use with little ones than the like acrylic paints that we were using. So I'm gonna show you how to make your own watercolor paints using mostly kitchen pantry ingredients. You will need some food coloring for that. So essentially you're using baking soda, vinegar, corn syrup, and cornstarch, and then the food coloring. So I'll put that out there so people can start to gather the ingredients.
Right.
Very simple. And then those have to sit. So we'll make them tomorrow, and then you can let them firm up and dry out a little bit for use on, say, Saturday or even Sunday. And then I'm also going to show you how to make a little basket out of paper. The place that I found it originally online, the idea was to like watercolor the paper first and then use that paper to make the basket. So I started to do that. So if you have your own watercolors already and you want to like just do kind of like an abstract watercolor painting on a rectangular sheet of paper, you could do that today and then make the basket out of it tomorrow.
Just like if you have like a regular like piece of printer paper.
So it will work, yes. That will just be smaller than the version that I have. I used, let me see if I can grab it.
Oh, that looks awesome.
Okay, so we have these larger sheets of construction paper at our house. So obviously the larger the piece, the bigger your basket. But yes, you can use just a piece of printer paper. You'll just have a smaller basket. And this got a little crumpled because they were playing with them this morning. But it's really simple and fun. And I feel like somebody who doesn't have a toddler in tow could turn this into like just a little work of art. So then you have a little Easter basket. You can fill with Easter grass, with candies, what have you. So we're going to do that tomorrow. And I'm pretty thrilled with it. It looked complicated when I found it online. And then I tried it and it was highly attainable.
Awesome. So tomorrow it's homemade watercolor paints and Easter baskets. And we will also check in on our eggs. They're not eaten already. How beautiful the color is. So Laura's got a golden, we think it's going to be like a golden yellow egg. Will's is probably going to be the brightest. I think it'll be kind of purplish, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking I might have some pink eggs tomorrow. Who knew? I wonder if you can get green eggs for green eggs. If you ever did green eggs and ham.
Oh, that could be fun. I'd have to
Yeah, that's a neat idea.
like a natural.
I haven't seen anything natural dyes for green.
Maybe asparagus.
Only in mine.
Maybe asparagus.
I don't know. I think it might be like my kids love hard-boiled eggs, and they love pickles. So it's possible that they would like pickled eggs. But in our house, a lot of times the barrier is just getting them to try things. But I think if they were bright pink or purple like yours, Will, that they might be like amused enough to give it a go. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I may take you up on the offer for some beet juice.
Let me know.
All right. So I've got my eggs in my grind. Here's my pink eggs. Will, let's see yours one more time. Lovely. All right. Laura, how are yours doing?
Mine doesn't look as pretty as yours, but maybe by tomorrow it will.
No, but I think that
It's nice
it's going to be this beautiful yellow color. Don't you think? Like a bright yellow?
Yes,
Yeah,
I think so. I mean,
gonna work well.
turmeric is such an amazing dye. I mean, you have to like be careful when you're cooking with it because it dyes almost anything a bright color. So I think it will.
I think it's going to be great. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon on this kind of rainy day. Hopefully it doesn't get too stormy. And we will see you back here tomorrow, 11 a.m. And be on the lookout for an email with all of our old lessons for us. And let me just see. We have one comment. I'm going to check it before we go. Avocado seed.
Oh.
I've never seen avocado seed. That's so interesting.
Right. Well, that's something you could do with that. It'd be worth trying. Because we always just chop that.
Yeah. Fun. All right. Have a great day, everyone. Bye, guys.
Take care, everyone. Bye, Dan. Bye, Laura.
Bye.